There is a saying, get a job doing what you love, and you will never work a day in your life. Well, if that's the case, let's see if sitting on a couch all day watching cartoons is a job. Well, I'm out of ideas. I guess I'll just sit here and do what I love and pet my dog.
If you love taking care of dogs, why don't you get a job doing that?
You always have the best ideas.
That's why I keep you around.
My entire life, I have always liked dogs. I mean, who doesn't? If you hate dogs, you're probably a Disney villain. The idea of getting paid to take care of dogs sounds amazing. So you can imagine my excitement when I was hired to work at a PetsMart PetsHotel. You know, I never met this Pete guy, but I hear he's pretty smart. So for about a year of my college life, my minimum wage job was to take care of man's best friend. Customers would drop off their pets, and it was up to me to feed, bathe, and entertain the dogs until the pet parents came back. Now you could be saying,
getting paid to work with puppies, OMG, that's gotta be the easiest and most relaxing job ever.
okay, now hold on. Don't assume things when I'm not even halfway done with the video. I also noticed that I complain a lot in these videos, so it's probably only a matter of time before I started acting negative. So, feeding, bathing, and playing with a dog is fun. However, feeding, bathing, and playing with 80 dogs? Not so much. Basically, my work shifts were waking up at 5 a.m., walking to work in the cold, giving somewhere between 50 to 100 dogs a chance to use the bathroom, and then making each dog breakfast, each with its own unique dog food and serving size. Honestly, not the ideal way to wake up. Even on days where I didn't work mornings, my work schedule would still be rough. I'd walk into work and my boss would say, "Hey, Kingly, thanks for coming in. 20 dogs made messes in their rooms, so could you clean them out for me? Thanks. Also, 5 dogs are getting picked up today and they all need baths. And could you have that all done in an hour? Thanks." So yeah, not as easy of a job as you'd imagine. But that's not the stuff you want to hear about. What you really want to hear about is Doggy Day Camp, an 8-hour period where dogs could play and mingle with each other. During my time at the PetsHotel, overseeing Doggy Day Camp was how I spent most of my shifts. This is where I got to play with and get to know the dogs the most. Now this was probably the most fun part of working at a PetsHotel. I got to play with the dogs, and the dogs loved me for it. However, it was honestly pretty hit or miss whether I enjoyed myself during day camp, and it all depended on the behavior of the dogs. Sometimes you get a room full of 20 well-behaved angels, but most of the time, you got a room full of mangy mutts. Honestly, one bad dog is enough to ruin your day. The way I see it, I can separate dogs into 4 categories. The first being the good dogs, which are the dogs that are well-behaved, don't start fights, and don't poop in the water dish. These good girls and boys deserve treats, and they make work a lot easier. The second category is the grouchy dogs. These are the usually large old dogs that just want to nap and be scratched. They never cause trouble, except for when another dog bumps into them or they steal their toy. They might growl or snap at the other dog, but they are also good listeners and will behave if you call them out. Honestly, not too hard to take care of. The third category, however, are the dumb dogs. Dumb meaning they do bad stuff because they don't know any better. These dogs are usually high-energy puppies that just run around and cause mayhem. They piss off the grouchy dogs, knock over the water dish, try to attack store customers through the daycare's glass window, bite you in a playful but painful manner, and sometimes just start fights with other dogs for no reason. I should probably mention that one of my most important duties in the daycare was to prevent dogs from fighting each other. Dogs, for some reason, just love to pick fights against other dogs. It's just what they do. So PetsMart gave employees a 5-step response to stop misbehaving dogs. Step 1, just make noise. As long as the dog hears you, this is usually enough to make them stop. Step 2, if the dog is ignoring you, you are armed with a trusty water bottle. Just spritz them a couple of times and bring them back to their senses. Now, I've seen some people online who have a negative attitude to spraying dogs with water. I can see how some people can think of it as abusive, but if 2 dogs are about to rip each other apart and are ignoring what I'm saying to them, I think getting them a little wet is a much better scenario than having to take 2 injured dogs to the vet. A lot of the dogs don't even find the water bottle annoying. Some of them, usually puppies, think the water bottle is a toy. They'll be doing something bad and I'll spray them with the bottle, and then they'll continue being bad and think to themselves, "I'm being naughty and now I'm wet? This is the best day ever!" Which brings us to our last set of dogs, the bad ones. These are the dogs that arrive at the PetsHotel, see their owners leave, and think, "My owners aren't here right now. I can be as bad as I want." They then proceed to do whatever they want and completely ignore the hotel employees. If we have these dogs in day camp, we follow the third step for misbehaving dogs. Give them a timeout. Putting a dangerous dog back in their room is probably the safest way to deal with misbehaving dogs. However, dogs are unpredictable and might become an immediate threat to the other dogs in the room. That's where steps 4 and 5 come in. Step 4. Use a citronella spray. This is essentially pepper spray for dogs. This should only be used if a dog fight has already broken out and they won't respond to noises or the water bottle. Employees are not allowed to stand between or grab dogs out of a dog fight because PetsMart doesn't want to send an employee to the hospital with a nasty dog bite. To use the spray, just spray it on the dog's nose. It won't harm the dog in any way, but will cause them to be distracted by the itchiness. If somehow the dog is still trying to fight a dog even after basically getting pepper sprayed, you move to step 5. You blast a loud air horn. If the air horn doesn't work, radio for help and another employee dressed in protective gear will break up the dogs. Now, I should say dog fights at day camp aren't that common. Most fights can be prevented, and the water bottle is usually enough to bring dogs back to their senses. During my entire time at the PetsHotel, there's only one time that I experienced a true dog fight. Story time! So, I was working in the doggy day camp, and all the dogs were well behaved. Everything was perfect until a family dropped off a new dog to the camp named Jonah. Now, Jonah was a maniac. He loved to run around in circles non-stop, just plowing through any dogs that are in his way. This naturally upset most of the grouchy dogs, who began to snap and growl at Jonah. However, these grouchy dogs were also good listeners, and would back down when I told them to. 4 hours later, Jonah was still running around bothering the dogs. Basically, everyone in day camp disliked him. Suddenly, it was lunchtime, and we had to take the dogs out of the day camp so they could eat. They were excited for food. I took out a lead, and a cute little dog named Rowley sat down in front of me and waited patiently for me to take him out of the playroom. But before I could put the lead on Rowley, Jonah blindsided him and sat down so I could put the lead on him first. Now, Rowley did not appreciate Jonah's rude gesture, so he growled at him. It was just a little growl, just a quick little growl, and Jonah just stared down Rowley, and then jumped on him. This caught me off guard, so I dropped the lead and grabbed my water bottle. I yelled and sprayed Jonah to try and get him off of Rowley, but he kept ignoring me. He had Rowley pinned down and kept snarling and biting at him. I dropped the water bottle and pulled out the citronella spray for the first and only time, and sprayed it directly onto Jonah's nose. Jonah responded immediately, jumping off of Rowley to rub his face, while Rowley ran away to the corner to hide. Jonah was taken back to his room and was never allowed in group playtime again. Rowley was checked up at the vet, where we learned he had no serious injuries. He was pretty traumatized though. Rowley made a quick recovery and never had to see Jonah again. He was willing to return to group playtime and enjoyed standing near me. I had saved a dog. Now, of course, the dog owners were contacted and given a rundown of what happened. Jonah from that day forth got playtimes by himself, and Rowley remained a loyal customer. A happy ending. So that is what my time at PetsMart was like. Lots of hard work and crazily energetic dogs. It wasn't my favorite job ever, but it was definitely a unique and exciting one.
I guess you could say it was a positive experience.
I guess so. I'm super experienced at dog care now. There's not much a dog can do to surprise me. Holy smokes, my dog's talking!